This is your fantasy gymnastics update after week 4 of the 2025 college gymnastics season. We're recording this on January 27th, 2025. We're going to tell you who's a steal, if anyone's on a bye and you need to take them out of your lineup, who's injured, who's making all of the lineups. So welcome to GymCastic, the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Spencer with Jessica. And let's start with our roster bargains after week 4. So these are people who are getting 9-9s, but aren't at the most expensive tier of the maximum gym rubles. So like kind of a deal you can get in under without breaking the bank. So we'll start with Vault. Kaylin Cho at LSU. Talked about her a lot this season. Having a great freshman year. But Vault, I think, is the one you really want to zero in on. In terms of her events, she's at 5,000 gym rubles. 995, 9925, 995, last 3 vaults. It's her most consistent event, and it's been a real go-to for the people who have her in the lineup. Also, let's talk about McKenna Smith at Utah, who is vaulting, objectively the best vault that exists in the code of points, the Omelyanchik round off half on front pike. Started off with 3 985s in a row, but then has gotten to 995, 99. When she sticks that vault, it's like a plunger right into the mat, and it's always going to score super well.
Leanne Wong at Florida, 5,000 gym rubles. Leanne came out of Paris to start the NCAA season in 2025, like killing it, leading the all-around. Then these past 2 weeks, she's had a balance beam situation, specifically her mount. I blame Spencer. But on vault, she has had no problems. The 2-time world champion and 2-time Olympic alternate has just posted 2 9925s in the last 2 weeks. Spend all your gym rubles on Leanne.
On the topic of Olympians, let's talk about Ava Stewart at Minnesota. So we knew she was going to be great on beam, and that's her, notoriously strongest event, but she is also nailing it on vault with a really consistent Yurchenko 1.5. So she's got 9825, but then 9925 and 99 with this vault that's looking really comfortable for her and is an essential addition to that Minnesota vault lineup, which we remember they had like Anna Loper and Lexi Rambler, and they were like, we're nailing these Yurchenko 1.5s, but they're not there anymore. And we've seen kind of a dip, so they're restocking that with Ava Stewart. Also, Nyla Aquino at Georgia, another freshman at 5,000. So it's not super cheap. We kind of knew she was going to be great on vault, but it's not at the highest level. Been a vault and floor specialist mostly so far. Broke 9-9 for the first time this past week with a 9-9-25, and she was a very strong level 10 vaulter, so we knew that she was going to be good coming in, but she has been essential as part of the Cecile era Georgia rebuild of restocking these lineups with freshmen and transfers, and she's an essential part of that.
How should the people spend their gym rubles on bars?
Okay, well, first of all, Lali Dekanoidze of North Carolina at 4,000 gym rubles. We have known her ability on bars for many, many years, and she's come to college gymnastics. She's been a star at North Carolina. She's now a senior already. All of these seniors who didn't get a COVID year, I'm like, how are you already a senior? But, that's actually what 4 years feels like. She got another 9975 this past weekend, which is the 4th time in her college career she's gone 9975 on bars. Also, let's talk about Connor McClain on bars at LSU. So the big question with Connor, I think, coming into the season was not about ability, but the fact that she had a major injury during the Olympic trials selection summer process, and how quickly was she going to be able to come back and get her fitness back. We haven't seen her on floor yet, but we've seen her vault and bars and beam, right from the beginning. She had a little bit of a weird one on beam this week, but bars has been super strong. And one thing I really like about watching Connor on bars is not just that her bars are super clean, but she's not skimping on the difficulty. She's doing a church to pack combination, which really is what you want to see gymnasts doing to go above and beyond kind of the cookie cutter routine in order to really be rewarded for that. And we're seeing Connor do that in her composition. She just went 9925 for the 3rd week in a row, and it's at 4,000 gym rubles. So definitely a deal that's worth it.
Emily Lopez, Boise State, 4,000 gym rubles. If you listen to the show, you've heard us talk about Emily Lopez for years. She's a 5th year senior now, competing on 3 events, vault, bars, and beam. This is why Emily is so great for fantasy. So if you aren't seeking out Boise State meets, maybe you don't know about her, but obviously you should put her in your lineup because Boise State has style, first of all. And number two, the past 2 weeks, she's gone 9-9-2-5 and 9-9. So that's my tip for you. Frida Esparza. I could talk about Frida Esparza all day. She's at UCLA. $2,000. She is a steal. You remember her from her Metallica floor routine. She is like the emo metal queen. She's a grad student. She's had ups and downs through her career because she's had always had the skills, but she's had injuries. So the 5th year seems to be a charm. So she's only focusing on bars this season. She's gone 9-9-2-5, 9-9, and 9-9-2-5 in the last 3 meets. Consistency. So if you love a Nueva Ola Bahardwaj out of Maloney, she is the one for you. And Frida has been amazing for so long, and I'm so excited for her. Did you see her stick and then point at her feet after she's stuck? It's all coming together for her.
She's like, look at my legs. I can land on them.
It's so happy when that happens.
Let's also talk about Anya Pilgrim at Florida, who's at 5,000 gym rubles. And I think with Anya, she's been super strong right from the start of her freshman year and breaking records and all around her first meet. But she's kind of the early lineup stalwart for Florida, and you end up talking about Leanne Wong or Victoria Wen doing a beautiful Anodi on beam, and you have those kind of showier routines. But what we see from Anya Pilgrim is she's just been so solid right from the start and so comfortable and just I can do these skills and they're going to be clean and I'm going to hit them. She made her all-around debut this week against Georgia, 9-9 on bars. Got a 9-9-2-5 on bars in week 1. Also went 9-9-5 on beam. Who didn't in that meet? But so that's another one that's worth it. But we're seeing it, she's consistently in these lineups on bars and beam and getting good scores every time.
Beam, the measure of a gymnast. This is really what beam is for. Victoria Wen, Florida, 5,000 gym rubles, but worth it. So if we price gymnasts purely on beauty of their routines, Victoria Wen obviously would max out your budget. But fortunately for you, it's based on historical scores. So you can cheer on Victoria without breaking the bank. So you'll also collect high scores. She's gone 9-9, 9-9-5 in the last 2 meets on beam and floor.
So one of the teams under the radar that's having a great season so far through the first month of the year is Arizona. And we have Emily Muller on beam at 4,000, just got a career high 9-9-5 on beam against Arizona State, which is a big deal if you're into the sports rivalries and things, because they're both in Arizona. So her beam score has improved every single week, and she's really delivering the scores for a team that maybe wasn't on your list of must gets when you first made your lineup in the first week of the season, but it's definitely one to keep an eye on. Someone else you probably didn't have on the radar right to start the season is Brooke Glachowski at Georgia, who's at 2,000. So she's been in the lineup every week. She fell both of the first 2 weeks for Georgia on beam. But, Cecile Beam magic stuck with her, put her in the anchor position. This past week, she hit for a 9-9-5 in that Florida meet because everyone got a 9-9-5 on beam. So a potentially risk reward situation because she had 2 falls in the first 2 meets, but she's showing the scoring potential there. So if you want to take a risk, you want to go for it at just 2,000 for a beamer so you can save your money for elsewhere. A solid option. Also, giving away my lineup secrets, Emily Morgan at Utah is at 3,000 on beam. Just such a delight to root for. Solid beam routine, fun to watch. Also, an Olympic bronze medalist or whatever. Career high of 9-9-5 on beam, which she's done several times. She already has a 9-9-2-5 so far this season. So put her in your lineup and then just sit back and coast, which is what I've done from the first week this season, and it's working out really well for me. Also, Olivia Zarmani at Michigan State is just at 1,000 on beam because we've really seen her super talented level 10. She wasn't really breaking into the lineups right at the beginning, and Michigan State has become a much deeper team, so it's hard to necessarily make the lineups, but we're really seeing her become an essential force in multiple lineups this season for Michigan State. So far she's been on beam in all 3 of the meets and then the all-around twice and has a career high now of 9925. So definitely look out for that because she's only at 1,000. Steal of the week is Olivia Zarmani's beam because we didn't necessarily expect her to be in that lineup. And now she's like, guess who got a 9-2-5? It was me.
Floor. Let's talk about someone we've talked about many times.
Oh, many times, sure. Jessica never shuts up about Chloe Negretti of NC State, who is at 5,000. Another grad student. If you want to go like the grad student strategy, that's a fun strategy of just being like, I'm into people who already have diplomas. So Chloe became the first NC State gymnast ever to record a 9975 on floor earlier in her career. She's did it again in at the ACC championships last season. And so far this season, her floor's been going up every single week. 9-9 2 weeks ago, 9-9-2-5 this weekend. She's putting it together. Leah Smith at Arkansas, one of our amplitude favorites at 5,000. Sometimes we'll see her in the all-around, but it's mostly vault and floor her things, and that's where we've seen her so far this year. 9-9-9-9-2-5 on floor the last few meets, and that was part of Arkansas upsetting LSU, and the reliability of Leah Smith, especially on floor, was a huge part of that, where you can just be like, yeah, it's Leah Smith. She's going to get a big one. On the Arizona topic, another one is Emma Strom on floor at 5,000. Had a career high of 9,925 going into the season, has already matched or exceeded that in 2 of the 4 meets so far, and now has a career high of 9,925 and then got another 9,9 this past weekend. So cleaning up.
Sophia McClellan at Nebraska, an all-around senior. You can feel confident about putting her in your lineup. Is always going to have a usable score. Only 5,000 gym rubles. Throughout her career on floor, she's had a best of 9,925. This year, she did it in week 3. So don't forget her name. Sophie McClellan.
Another name you probably will not forget is Alyssa Guns at Kent State, who's at 5,000. The only gymnast we have available from Kent State to put in your lineup is Alyssa Guns with the floor. Has been 9,975 in her career. Just got a 9,925 this past weekend against Eastern Michigan. So it seems like it's continuing. Another good bet.
How do the people play?
They know how to play. They've made lineups. GymCastic.com. Put a new lineup every single week, including this week. You can change out your lineup. You can keep it the same. You can do whatever you want. Week 5 fantasy lineups will lock on January 31st, which is Friday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. So remember, winner of the season gets a full commissioned episode. We also have weekly winners, and all players can unlock achievements throughout the season and have a digital trophy case. And we're always adding new badges and things, so keep an eye on that. And, if you make any changes to your lineup, as always, be sure to click the finish button and don't just close the browser tab and then think it's saved, because it won't be. And then you'll be mad because you got a 0 on bars.
If you get that far, like me, always forgets that I'm in the middle of setting up my lineup and then gets distracted by 12 other things and never adds anyone or takes anyone out of my lineup, which is the thing I love about this league, is you can change your lineup for every event every week. Speaking of, the league winner for week 3.
Week 3 winner was Gym Artistry, the current week 4 leader, and will, finalize, tabulate, Monday meets included, or Tuesday meets included, so things might change, but the current leader is Maya's Floor Hootenanny, which is an excellent name, but I want to know which Maya this is. Who's Hootenanny? It's a very important question. Season leader so far is Jade Silavash at 791 points, so I've got some work to do, because I think I'm at like 788, so that might not be happening for me. But also, I don't need to win a commission, because I can just say what I want to talk about. There's not really a prize for me other than, the satisfaction of a job well done. Quick league stats. Not too much movement this week in terms of who was rostered, except, more people are adding the gymnasts who are the most popular, because they're the most popular for a reason. They've been delivering scores for people who don't want to take them out of the lineup. And every week more people are catching on. But, if you want to separate yourself, there are always hidden gems. There are always steals. if you do the research, you will be rewarded sometimes.
Great
Okay, so for
Esparza.
example, we mentioned Marissa Neal in the first week as a steal. Not on that many rosters, but guess who went 9975 on Beam? It was Marissa Neal, unlocking the bargain hunter badge for the people who did have her in their lineup. So you can unlock badges like that because you bargain hunted and you found Marissa Neal, and then she got you a 9975. So Joss Robertson's floor is now in 53.9% of lineups. Aaliyah Finnegan's floor is at 51.1% of lineups. A lot of people, because LSU had kind of a trouble meet, and a lot of people got had what's the opposite of reaping the benefits? Suffering the consequences of having some LSU floor routines and other routines that are usually pretty reliable, but were not big scores this week. Audrey Davis on bars, because Audrey Davis on bars is also over on 50% of people's lineups. Caitlin Jong on bars at Auburn has been nailing it every week, is up to 44.8%. And Brooklyn Moores on floor is just outside the top 5, but is at 34.3%. And, you know, maybe if she anchored the lineup, she would get a 10.
There is a secret Brooklyn Moores badge that you can earn. Week 5 buys, injuries, looking ahead.
Okay. Oregon State's not competing this weekend, everybody. Jade Carey. If you're smart and have some Jade Carey routines on your team, make an adjustment so you're not stuck with 0.
Avery Neff still out with the ankles. KJ Johnson still hasn't returned. Reina Gugino, Michigan, still hanging out with the ankle sprain. Levi Young-Rivavar, she has announced on social media, we talked about last week, that she is redshirting to recover from an eating disorder. So proud of her. Amazing that she came out and talked about that. It's like huge. So wishing her the best. And then Poppy Stickler, Utah, still out with the foot injury.
And a couple teams do have 2 meets in week 5. So as a reminder, if a team competes twice, you get the benefit of the doubt. Whatever their higher score was at the 2 meets, that's the one you count. So Air Force is competing twice. George Washington, Kendall Whitman is competing twice. And Towson with Isabella Minervini also has a Friday-Sunday split this week.
And if you enjoy this extra podcast, one of the 3 that we offer every week during NCAA season, we have a club. It's called Club Gym Nerd. And it's how you support the show. And you get this podcast and a whole extra podcast just for you, where we answer your questions and talk right after the meet. We pick a meet, we watch together. This week it's for College and Cocktails. It's Saturday, February 1st, after Michigan State and UCLA. It might be around 4:30, but we might do it live from the meet. So the time, keep an eye on it. There's a tool in the forum where you can add all of the College and Cocktails schedule to your calendar. It's super handy. Thank you, Brooke, for creating that. And so, yeah, if you want to join the original NCAA post-meet hangout discussion party with all your fellow gym nerds, that is the show, College and Cocktails. Also, all the information you need, the schedules, the links, everything is at thebalancebeamsituation.com all year round. That should be your one-stop shop for NCAA. Until then, until College and Cocktails, Saturday, February 1st, Michigan State versus UCLA, Battle Fine Arts. Until then, spend your gym rubles wisely, and may the Beam Witch be with you. See you next week.